Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our City of Mount Pearl Public Council meeting for March 21st, 2022. Council, you see before you some proclamations outside the kit and included in the kit, as well as an agenda. Can I get a motion, please, from, thank you, Councillor Fry, seconded by. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our City of Mount Pearl Public Council meeting for March 21st, 2022. Council, you see before you some proclamations outside the kit and included in the kit, as well as in support of the swearing in, which we're going to do shortly for a new municipal enforcement officer here in the city of Mount Pearl. But before we move on, I'm going to read the land acknowledgement. Just bear with me, folks. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people, and we acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Council, before you in the agenda is the minutes from March 7th. I want to thank Ms. Mullins for all her work she does in getting them together, listening to us and getting all the sentiments correct. But however, here's your chance to advise all if there's any errors or omissions from March 7th, please. Hearing none, I'm going to call for adoption of those minutes, and it is moved, thank you, by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Rice. All in favor? And those opposed? And that motion's carried as well. Now, Council, is there any business arising? Please quote the item number from the minutes or the action report. It's a long meeting. Okay, so let's move on to proclamations. Council, I'm glad we have the presence, the company of Alicia Legg, who's with the Epilepsy Foundation, I believe it is, and I'd like to invite her to come up. I'm going to read the proclamation, and well, I always know when someone comes up and joins us that somebody can speak much better to this than me. Question for Ms. Mullins. Will the speakers work? With a guess, she's going to have to use my microphone. See the microphone anyway? I don't see the microphone. It's all good. Okay, here we go. Purple Day for Epilepsy, March 26th. Purple Day is a global effort to promote epilepsy awareness in countries around the world. And Purple Day was founded by 9-year-old Cassidy Megan of Nova Scotia, who wanted to let people know that if you have epilepsy, you are not alone. And epilepsy is a chronic neurological disorder which affects each person differently, estimated to affect more than 10,000 people in Newfoundland and Labrador, over 300,000 people in Canada, and unfortunately 50 million people worldwide. Whereas 1 in 10 people will have at least one seizure during their lifetime, and the public is often unable to recognize common seizure types and unable to respond with appropriate first aid. And Purple Day will be celebrated on March the 26th annually to increase understanding, reduce stigma, and improve the quality of life for people living with epilepsy throughout the country and globally. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of my colleagues on council, we do hereby proclaim March 26th as Purple Day in an effort to raise awareness and understanding of epilepsy and to support all those who live with seizures each day. And I'm going to sign that on behalf of council. And I'm going to invite Alicia to say a few words. How's Megan doing, Alicia?
Megan is now 24 years old, I believe, still lives in Nova Scotia. And Purple Day was started as a grassroots movement to make people aware across Canada and worldwide about the importance of knowing about epilepsy, exactly what epilepsy is, and more importantly, how to respond if someone is actually having a seizure. Our estimates now actually place the number at closer to about 65 million people worldwide that live with epilepsy, and about 1 in 26 people will actually develop epilepsy in their lifetime, believe it or not. And we have over 10,000 people here that live with the disease every single day, and that number is on the rise as well, especially amongst new cases which are diagnosed in young adults and younger children, as well as those over the age of 65. Epilepsy is a disease that does not discriminate. You can develop epilepsy at any time in your lifetime. You can be of any gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation. It does not discriminate. It's very important for people to be aware of how they can help if they do see someone having a seizure in public. And part of our mandate is to provide support and resources and information to the general public. And we do offer education sessions across the province to schools, daycares, as well as various adult settings. And we do offer seizure first aid training for free. I will let you know that what you see in standard first aid and CPR is literally one slide of a slideshow that talks about seizures. That's not enough. It affects, like I said, many, many people, and you can help. It's important for people to know that there are over 40 different seizure types, and people can have more than one seizure type as well. So what you think, if you see somebody maybe, under the influence of drugs or alcohol, for example, is not always the case. They may be unresponsive, unable to respond to you or speak to you, and they may be in fact having a seizure. If the child is in the back of the classroom and they are non-responsive, they are staring blankly out the wall, or out the window, I should say, or at the wall, it does not mean that they're not paying attention. It does not mean that they have ADHD. It does not mean that they are just, causing trouble. They may in fact be having a seizure. So there's a lot of awareness that still needs to be raised. And I'm very grateful for council and for Mayor Aker taking the time this evening to address Purple Day. And I look forward to all of you wearing purple on Sunday to celebrate.
Well, Alicia, you and Megan, thank you for your leadership and all the volunteers. And I know as we speak here today, there are people in our community and in this room here who are impacted by epilepsy. I'm going to ask Councillor Antle to speak to that, if you don't mind. Thank you, sir.
Your Worship, Alicia, thank you very much. Yeah, about 3 years ago, my grandson, he was 4 at the time, he was diagnosed with epilepsy. And one of the things we found, I mean, it was scary at the time because it was the unknown, right? And Lincoln is he has a quite active life. He wouldn't know he has epilepsy. We know how to treat it now. That's the biggest thing. And as you just said, the training we receive is immense. What I was talking to you earlier on is that, the biggest thing is like when you have a seizure, anybody has a seizure, is to remain calm. No matter what happens, it's scary at first when you see it, but you just take your time. And with Lincoln, when he has it, he can still hear us, even though he's having a seizure. And as Alicia was saying, sometimes he just, I'm just nothing wrong, but sometimes he just stares off into space. And you just see, we know exactly what's after happening. But most of his happens in the nighttime or as he goes to bed. And we try to find out exactly what the issues are and how do we stop it. But there's no warning signs. It just comes on. Lincoln had one a couple of months ago, and it's scary, but he takes the proper medication. And one of the things is, as he has a seizure, most times when you look around, if someone's having a seizure, they do have the medication with them. We don't go nowhere without Lincoln, without his medication with us. And my daughter has it in a pencil case, and it's the instructions exactly how to do it. But if they have a seizure, usually they come out of it within 5 minutes. If after 5 minutes, you call an ambulance. But when they come out of that after 5 minutes, they're confused and dazed, but just all they want to be is hugged. And that's how it works. And I was just taking a couple of notes here. He's quite happy about the Purple Day. It's funny, like he's only 7 years old, but Purple Day within Miracle in the World where he goes, like all the kids over there know he has epilepsy, and they all know what happens. But he's quite excited about the city lighting up City Hall for Purple Day. As we as a council, we always make sure, and I'm sure we will. One note I had there, and I'm going to bring it up, and maybe we can discuss it later on. I was told a couple of days ago, because I talked to other people who have children with epilepsy. I was told now that children with epilepsy can't get on a school bus anymore because the school bus drivers aren't prepared to administer the drugs. I don't know if that's right or not, but I'm going to check into it a little bit further because, that is eye-opening and hopefully that'll go on. Anyhow, I can go on, but thank you very much.
Anybody else? Councillor Lane, please.
Thank you. I think that many of us have relatives who've experienced epilepsy, or we know people who do. My sister actually, she had childhood epilepsy, as did my best friend. They were both fortunate enough that it was something that with age they did grow out of. But you know, at the time, my parents said that it was such a struggle and it was so terrifying. And I can only imagine, because now I have two young children of my own, and I can't imagine the fear that comes with knowing that your child could have a seizure at any time, right? And I think that you made a really good point that it's important that we're informed of what to do if a seizure is to happen. And I'm a teacher, and honestly, until you brought that point up, I never really thought about it. And I don't have a lot of information on what to do if a student were to have a seizure. So I know that I'm certainly going to leave here and do my research and see what can I do if that were to happen. And I think that all educators should have knowledge when it comes to seizures and epilepsy. So I think this proclamation is very important, and thank you for being here with us today.
Would you like to get a picture
Yes.
as we close things off?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's grab a snap with the proclamation, of course. Our council meetings are usually very exciting. I invite people to stay if they want, but if they want to leave, that's okay too. Myeloma Canada. Gary, you guys gonna come up, or would you rather come up later? Your call, sir. That work for you? We'll get a snap. Well, thank you both, all of you, three of you for coming. Whereas multiple myeloma is also known as myeloma, if I'm pronouncing it right? Yeah, okay. Is a type of cancer that develops in plasma cells found in bone marrow and is the second most common blood cancer's diagnosis. And whereas a growing number of Canadians are diagnosed with myeloma every day, yet myeloma is relatively unknown and remains incurable. And whereas great strides have been made in the development of treatments for Canadians with myeloma 3A, but there remains a critical need to raise awareness and support for clinical research to find a cure for this deadly disease. And whereas the province of Newfoundland and Labrador and the Canadian myeloma community are committed to supporting the range of diverse communities impacted by the disease, especially those disproportionately experiencing its effects, and regardless of race, ethnicity, culture, gender, socioeconomic background, or language. And whereas Myeloma NL, Newfoundland and Labrador, of course, and a national patient organization known as Myeloma Canada, they let people living with myeloma know that they are not alone by offering resources like information, advocacy, and a sense of community. And whereas Multiple Myeloma Awareness Month is an important opportunity to further educate the public and medical community in recognizing myeloma signs and symptoms, which is crucial for achieving earlier diagnosis and thus better outcomes for people suffering from this difficult, incurable disease. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of Mount Pearl City Council, we do hereby proclaim the month of March 2023 to be Multiple Myeloma Awareness Month here in the city of Mount Pearl, and I call this observance to the attention of all of our residents. Council, any comments? Do you want to add further to that before we do? We welcome Gary and his folks for a little picture opportunity. Councillor Fry.
I found this really interesting because I don't know anything about this. And I'm so glad to see proclamations like this to bring attention. But I do have a question. I don't know if one of you guys can answer it or if you feel comfortable to answer it. You were talking about in the proclamation, it talks about the to educate the public and the medical community in recognizing the symptoms and signs. What are those signs and symptoms? Thank you for that. Before the meeting, I Googled this because like I say, I knew nothing about it. And I did notice that a lot of the symptoms that I saw were common symptoms that most people experience. So I was curious as to how you would be, how to bring awareness to this, what kind of symptoms what happens with it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for coming.
Would you join us for a picture? And we can welcome you, all three of you, if you would like to come up. We welcome you to our chamber. And one of you, I think, is Henrietta, right? Hi, yeah, come on up. Oh. So for the next piece here, council, I'm going to ask Mr. Jeffrey Hodder, who is our latest recruit as a municipal enforcement officer, along with our CAO and our Director of Municipal Enforcement, Manager of Municipal Enforcement, Mr. Blair Tilley. And Dana, would you mind coming up? And we'll use this microphone here, I'm thinking. Step as close as you can.
I, Jeffrey Hodder, do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge, skill, and ability, execute and perform the duties required of me as a municipal enforcement officer for the city of Mount Pearl, and will well and truly serve the city of Mount Pearl in the position of municipal enforcement officer without favor or affection, without malice or ill will, and I will prevent, to the best of my power, all offenses against same, and that while I continue to hold the said office, I will, to the best of my skills and knowledge, discharge all the duties thereof, faithfully according to law, and that I will not directly or indirectly, without due authority, disclose to any person any information or other matter that may come to me in the performance of my employment as a municipal enforcement officer for the city of Mount Pearl.
Well, on behalf of council and our residents, it's nice to welcome you and your family here today, and I want to say a very hearty congratulations. You to sign here, and if you would sign there, we won't. I think we have some relatives here. While you sign that, I'm not gonna shout out any names, but I see a grandmother, a girlfriend, a mother and a father, and I think that's a brother probably down there too, right? So we are a very family oriented community, and I know I speak on behalf of council in welcoming you as well for what's a nice moment. And being a municipal enforcement officer here in the city can be challenging at times. And I know my colleagues here, we all value safety here in the city of Mount Pearl, and your role, Jeffrey, will be to serve together with your colleagues, together with Manager Tilly, who's in charge of municipal enforcement. It's a really important function to us. And we're going to be very, very honored to work with you in the coming years. So welcome aboard. And I guess your first day has already begun, but you're officially a municipal enforcement officer. Thank you
you,
very
sir.
much. Good, good. Let's get a family picture. Would that be appropriate? Dana, you want to say anything in response? Just there you go. Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to be starting now to resume our meeting. Planning, Engineering, Development Committee report. I think it's Councillor Fry tonight. Thank you. All yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay, first on our agenda tonight is regarding the uninterrupted power supply, battery replacement and upgrades for the Glacier for the contract recommendation. So the committee was advised that our uninterrupted power supply vendor, Universal Power Solutions, was asked to source the appropriate replacement batteries and critical spare components of the two Glacier uninterrupted power supply streams or systems, sorry. In accordance with our uninterrupted power supply service contract, Universal Power Solutions provided the total quote for the supply and installation of the batteries, as well as the supply of critical spare components at a total cost of $53,176, HST included. So the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends approval of the supply and installation of the batteries, as well as the supply of the critical spare components for the two Glacier uninterrupted power supply systems at a total cost of $53,176, HST included. And this is via the uninterrupted power supply service contract with Universal Power Solutions, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry and second by Councillor Rice. Thank you very much. Council, any questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor and contrary-minded? And that motion is carried. Thank you.
Next, we have our new Civic Center, splash pad, and ice rink facility, the owner's advisor services. And this is regarding a consultant change order number 1 for Phase 3 environmental site assessment and request for approval. So a Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental site assessment was completed to identify any hazardous materials on the site. In order to adequately understand the extent of the hazardous materials and mitigation options, a Phase 3 environmental site assessment is required. This will include additional test pit excavation and evaluation, and the total additional cost of the owner's advisor contract will be $39,267.14, HST included. The Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends approval of change order number 1, payable to WSP E&I Canada Limited in the amount of $39,267.14, HST included, to complete a Phase 3 environmental site assessment. And I so move.
Again, moved by Counselor Fry. Thank you. Second by Counselor Rice. Questions, council? Something that needs to be done, given, this property was in use for a number of years. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And that's carried.
Now we have our H. Neil Windsor building, the Park Shed. And this is the climate change improvements. You may remember the fuel switching project, and this is a contract recommendation as well. So the committee was advised that the scope of work for this project includes the demolition and removal of the existing fuel tank, air handling, and electrical systems currently used for heating the Park Shed. It will be replaced with energy efficient mini split heat pump systems and ductwork. As well, all baseboard heaters will be replaced, thermostats and service panel upgraded, and main service upgraded from single phase to 3-phase. Tenders for this project closed on March the 9th, and all 3 proponents that were approached as part of a limited call responded. The Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee therefore recommends the award of the Climate Change Improvements Park Shed Fuel Switching Project to the lowest compliant bidder, which was JMJ Holdings, for the sum of $254,641.05, HST included, and I so move.
Again, moved by Counselor Fry, and again, thank you. Seconded by Counselor Rice. This is a move forward on the environmental front. Thoughts, council? Any questions? Counselor Rice.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment on this one. This project is long overdue. With the existing fuel tanks and the electrical system upgrades. I mean, I'm so glad we're going forward in energy efficient mini splits and heat pumps, especially with the greenery for the city, more efficient and not burning so much fuel up into the air. So we certainly support this, and we had a good bit of conversation actually at committee on this one. But I'm so happy to see this one's going forward. Your worship, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Rice. Any further comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? That motion's carried.
Okay, so worship, I'll take over the next one now, number 4, Glacier 1. So Glacier Rink 1 canteen upgrades, contract recommendation. Background, this one, the committee was advised that the project includes upgrade of the wall behind adjacent to cooking appliances and fryers, as well as the replacement to the adjacent countertop and cupboards with stainless steel cabinets. The current ones there right now are wooden, and I guess looking at the way we cook and everything up there with those appliances, we need stainless steel ones. So 3 vendors provided quotations to complete the required work. And the lowest compliant bidder was Jenkins Power Sheet Metal for the sum of $30,475, HST included. So recommendation from Planning, Engineering, Development recommends awarding the work for Glacier canteen upgrades to the lowest bidder, Jenkins Power Sheet Metal, for the sum of $30,475, HST included, and I so move.
It is moved by Counselor Rice, and thank you. Seconded by Counselor Fry. Thoughts? I think this is really about safety and hygiene when it comes to cooking, right? So I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And motion carried. Thank you. I'll back to you.
Thank you, Worship. So number 5 is our building and occupancy permit listing from periods February 27 till March the 10th, 2023. So the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends that the permit the building permits issued for this period showing a total construction value of 128,000 be approved, and further that the occupancy permit list be accepted as presented. You can see it in your kit there, 3, 12 Forest Avenue, 8 Babcock Place, and 14 Murley Drive for the residential side. Nothing for the commercial side. So I shall move on that one, Your Worship.
Just getting used to this new technology with if the microphone is not lit, it's yeah, you can't, we can speak, but you won't be heard as well. So I'm just trying to coordinate. I'm going to turn you off and I'm just going to, sorry, Councillor. Okay, Councillor Rice and seconded by Councillor Fry. All in favor? And contrary-minded, motion carried. So back to you.
Thank you. So number 6 is our development permit listing from February the 27th to March the 10th. So the Planning Engineering Development Committee provides the following development permits for the information of council. For on March the 8th, Jennifer Benson Music Home Business, and for March 13, 2023, Marinata Therapeutic, a home occupation business, and I so move.
Councillor Rice has moved the development permit and second by Councillor Fry. Thank you. All in favor? And those opposed? Motion carried. Back to you.
So the microphone times out after you don't speak. So this one is for information purposes only. It's our capital project update, which we have a very busy construction season coming up for 2023. So the tender documents currently being prepared for upcoming 2023 construction season are underway. And our PED committee are pretty busy with getting those tenders put together. So they're currently being put out as they come along and be completed. And this is for your information only. And that's it for us, Your Worship. Thank you very much.
Oops. Thank you very much. And I'm going to ask now for the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee to have the floor. Deputy Mayor Cottley, please.
Okay, how we've got it. Little lag, but that's okay. I'm just happy not to have to be pushing the button this time, so that's great. So I'm going to start with the invoices for approval. The committee recommends that the following invoices be approval for payment. And in our kits there, you could see them listed with regards to the item and as well as a brief description. It times out. Okay. Not sure where I'll just continue where I was, but the total amount is $503,050.41. And this I just wanted to note some larger expenses, of course, is our water consumption from what we have with the City of St. John's of $201,735.65. And of course, tipping fees as well, that we have in coordination with the City of St. John's. So those are a significant amount of portions of the expenses for approval. And I so move unless there are any other questions.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Thank you. And second by Councillor Locke. Any questions?
Just a quick note there. I happen to notice this. It's $503,000. But when you look at it, $350,000 of that is from our regional activities. So, one of the things that Mount Pearl does participate fully in the regional, and we do participate, when you look at the water and the, garbage and the city and the transportation. So, $350,000 is a sizable chunk of change. And I just thought to bring that up. Thank you.
Any other questions, council, for the deputy mayor? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded, and that's carried. Back to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. That leads us to our second item, which is the payment registry for purchase card report. So this is for the information of council. The following payment register between March 4th and the 14th of 2023. The total is $1,062,625.14. So this is the purchase card report between December 26th, 2022 to January 25th, 2023. and that totaled $215,648.31. And as listed in your kit there, there's a vendor name along with the document date and the total costs. If there's a question there in relation to any of those items, welcome to ask now or certainly at another time or offer a comment, but it's right now for our information.
Counselor Fry.
Yeah, just one quick question. I noticed in the payment register, there's, I just want to make sure it's not a duplicate expense. It's for Harvey and Company Limited for $304,703.83. And that's there twice. And I just wonder if that's a duplicate or a coincidence that it's the exact same amount.
Let me go ahead. Yeah. Exact same dollar value. So the 304 is not a duplicate, but definitely a coincidence, the exact same value.
But I would imagine the internal control for an item that high, that, you know, you might see something for $30, dare I say duplicated, but not for 300,000 with all the sign offs that are done internally. Any other questions, council? Back to you, Deputy Mayor.
It's a little lag, but that's okay. That's a great question, Councilor Farr. I saw the same thing, but yeah, it's an interesting duplication. I'm glad that you brought that up. We have such good safety nets, I find, between team and council here. My next item is request for tax consideration. So this is an item that we bring up, of course, during our annual tax collection, and this is really falling within our policy with regards to charitable and nonprofit organizations. But we deeply value the work and contributions of nonprofit, and this is a matter in which we can offer some support and relief with regards to tax considerations within our community borders. So as you can list, there's a name along with the address and the type of business and the annual amount. And in addition to that, it identifies if you're a charitable versus nonprofit, you get, of course, the amount in which you would be eligible. So this falls under our policy. And as it is listed there, we have some great organizations that are working to support communities and individuals and all sorts of mandates in our community right now that are listed there. And if there's any questions or any other comments you have with regards to this, otherwise, the committee is recommending the approval of the exempt 2023 business tax in accordance with our policy.
It is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley and seconded by Councillor Locke. There's 11 items here. They tend to be recurring because of they're strong. They're not businesses. They're strong nonprofits that have been in the city for a number of years, and they do an invaluable service within our city as well as within the region. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And that's carried. Back to you.
The final item before I pass this along to my colleague, Councillor Locke, is a travel request for myself, Deputy Mayor Nicole Kiley and Councillor James Locke in Mark Rice and CAO Dana Spurl. And this is to attend the FCM Annual Conference and Trade Show. This will be happening May 25th, 28th, 2023 in Toronto, Ontario. This is, of course, our federal counterpart in which we are members of, and the community reviewed, and we're supportive of the above noted requests and fall within our policies within professional development. With that, unless there's any questions, I so move.
It is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley and seconded by Councillor Locke. Further thoughts, council, before I call the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Thank you. Carried. Back to you.
And that is all for me, and I gladly hand along to my colleague, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The next item for us, Mayor, is a contract recommendation, and this is a tender for playground equipment. We may remember that the playground on O'Flaherty Crescent last year was closed off or boarded up for a little bit because of damages and need of replacement. So this particular tender is to replace those pieces of equipment there. The tender closed on February the 23rd, and we received 4 bids, and the lowest qualified bidder was EMCO. And their bid amount was $25,610.50. That's inclusive of HST. And our committee recommends that this contract, again, for the supply and delivery of the playground equipment there at O'Flaherty Crescent, be awarded to EMCO for that amount of $25,610.50, HST included. And this, of course, falls within our budget, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, and thank you, and seconded by Councillor Deputy Mayor Kiley. I'm watching microphones here tonight. Let's talk before the question. Assuming no other member of council wants to speak to it, I'm going to engage Director Dollamont about timelines here, because obviously there's some timeline to get the equipment in. And I think traditionally we've done this either in late summer, early fall. Director, would you like to chime in here? Even though we're ordering today, which reflects the good planning done in your department, when can the good residents in that area expect to see that playground?
I think the last time we spoke to the vendor, we'd anticipate that we're going to get the actual playground equipment itself in the latter part of June, early July. So I would anticipate most of our playground structures, we like to do that in the latter part of the summer, early part of the fall. Well, for a bunch of different reasons. One being that the site would be much easier and drier to get into, so we don't do any, damage to the existing landscaping while we're doing that work.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other questions before I'll call the question? All in favor? And those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next item is another contract recommendation, and this is a tender for a 4x4 tractor. This tender includes a supply and delivery of a 4x4 tractor with front-mounted bucket and specifications as outlined and detailed in the tender. And that was issued on February the 7th of 2023. The tender closed on March 1st, 23, and 3 bids were received. The lowest qualified bidder was Atlantic Trailer and Equipment for the bid amount of $59,517.73, including HST. And our committee is recommending that we award this contract to Atlantic Trailer and Equipment for said amount, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke and seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Any questions? No debate? All right, here we go. All in favor? And those opposed? And that motion has been carried as well. You guys can spend money, when you need to, can't you? Wow. We bring a budget down in December and, between the payment register, the invoices for approval and the contract recommendations, I think we've got a fairly healthy balance sheet to afford all this. There you go. I'm going to pass it back to you. I called the question, didn't I? Yes, back to you, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. And the good news is that we stay within budget. So that's what guides us, and that's how we operate. The last item for us, Mayor, is the Public Works Status Report. And just some information here, as per usual, our prepaid bulk collections for individual residents is ongoing for 2023. Our winter equipment maintenance and preparation work is still ongoing. We do have winter cleanup continuing. We do have some blowback. I know we had 2 blowers in operation today down in the Mount Pearl Park, as the older residents would call it, down around Park Avenue area, just blowing back some sidewalks, doing islands, cul-de-sacs, and that's in preparation. Hopefully we don't get another severe weather episode, but we know that other areas of our province have been hit with some storms. So this is a part of our high level of service that we provide our residents here. Just check today as well. The outdoor rinks are open. And if the weather stays below 0, hopefully the kids and the residents can continue to skate on those. Our trail grooming is ongoing, as is road maintenance, manhole repairs, asphalt and potholes. We all know these potholes can sort of appear overnight. So we're on top of those. As soon as we're notified of those, our crews are out and do good work in those repairs. We are continuing with the construction of the kiosk and hopefully have that in place by summertime for sure. 3 tenders are now closed. The 8 pickup truck tender, the front end loader tender, and 2 mowers and 1 tri-deck finishing mower Submissions were received and are being reviewed. And the last item there that we always or usually end off with are the water levels at Bay Bulls Big Pond as of March 13th, 2023. And they are in line with past years, almost on par with 2021. And that's it for the status report. I thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Locke, and I'm going to turn it over now for the Recreation and Community Safety Committee report. Councillor Antles going first.
Thank you, Your Worship. As always, the Fund Committee always got good reports. And the number one for us is we're having recreational pickleball. And everybody says, you know, what is pickleball? I didn't know what pickleball was till I got on this committee. But anyhow, pickleball is a paddleball sport that combines elements of tennis, badminton, and table tennis. And from what I read, it's one of the fastest growing sports. People are right into this pickleball. And we're into it now. It's for 2 or 4 players using solid paddles made of wood or composite materials to hit a perforated polymer ball over a net. Sounds interesting. The courts are available for pickleball on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. till 10:50 a.m. and 11 a.m. till 11:50 a.m. at the Reed Center Gymnasium. The cost is for one court for 2 people is $8, or 4 people is $16. In order to book, the residents can use the booking system or go through customer service at the Summit Center. And you can also see on our Facebook page, it's been shared all over our Facebook page regarding our pickleball. And I look forward to see our residents play there. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Go ahead, Councillor Locke. Thank you, Councillor Antle.
Just curious, did this require any new lines in the Reed Community Center, or is it playable within existing lines? Maybe I'll wait for Director Collins to get back for that question. Yeah.
You going to go ahead? Sorry.
As far as I know, there will be no changes within the Reed Center. They can use the existing lines, but there are plans for an outdoor court, and that would need some extra work. If maybe Director Dalamont could know, do you?
I'd have to confirm that, but yeah, I think there is some plan, or there would be some minor changes or some lines to accommodate the pickleball court.
Yeah, I think there's plans to, and we've had the support of MHA Stoyles on this. There's a piece going to be done down on Park Avenue at Stephen Thistle Park to convert the part of the tennis court. I see Director Antle nodding his head, but I would add, I think at the Reed Center, like it's played like tennis in a way, so a net would have to be put up. I don't think that was insurmountable, but that's one of the key changes to it all. Back to you, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah. Yeah, I was curious. I spoke with a couple of residents actually down at our Paddy's Day event the weekend at Team Gushu. And they were both avid pickleball players and gave me some background on it. And it's grown over the last couple of years. I think the woman I was speaking with said it started out with 20 members. Now they're over 400 members in their pickleball club. So it's growing rapidly, and it's a great workout. It's anyone can play it, but in their circumstance, it's mainly people of retirees and the older demographic. They prefer play it indoors. They did mention that they did play it up at the Gloria Pearson Center, but they could only accommodate one game up there. And I also asked about is this something? Because they asked about, new courts, and I said, well, is it something that you can use within the existing tennis courts? And they said yes, that the the lines align with the single courts on the tennis courts. So maybe, I don't know, just thinking out loud, which is always dangerous, but maybe we could paint the inner courts a different color so that you could do tennis and pickleball on the same court. So it was kind of neat, and who knows, maybe I'll challenge some of my council colleagues to a game of pickleball when the weather gets nicer, see what we can do. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, if I remember correctly, Councillor Locke, when we talked about this in committee last year, the pickleball court was supposed to go on the Stephen Thistle area, but because of COVID and everything else last summer, it never moved forward.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we did, Director Antle may remember this, we did the court that's at the top of Edwards Place. There were lines placed on that. I think that was 2 summers ago that we did that, right? And at that time, yeah, coming out of the warmer climate, vacation destinations, more and more pickleball was arriving. And I know pickleball has become very popular here in the city, but also in Paradise and other locations within the region. It's probably the fastest growing sport that we could see, and it's probably supported by an aging demographic. Counselor Lane, did you want to comment on that? And then we're going to switch to you in terms of committee report. Is that the thinking? Go ahead, all yours.
Sorry, Councillor Antle, did you have anything else to add to that? Okay, perfect. So the second part of our report this evening is changes in the swimming schedule. So for the information of the public, the Provincial Artistic Swimming Meet will take place at the Summit Center Swimming Pool from Friday, March 31st to Sunday, April 2nd, 2023. There will be some cancellations to the swimming schedules, which will affect the family, public, and sensory swims, as well as the lane and leisure morning swims on these dates. These cancellations will be posted in the Summit Center, as well as on the website and on social media. And that concludes our report this evening.
Well, thanks, everybody. It was a great meeting. We're getting close to closing time. Let's have a quick roundtable discussion, as always, to end our meeting. And I'm going to hand it over to you. I believe Councillor Locke is the next in the queue. All yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one for me. I made reference to it earlier, the St. Patty's Day tailgate party at Team Guju this past weekend. It was great. I just want to tip my hat and send kudos out to our staff who organized it. It wasn't a huge crowd, but it grew as the afternoon went on. And all the people there were certainly dancing, and the children is what warmed my heart the most, the dancing and making of their own fun. So thank you to the staff for, I know it was cross department that made this happen, and received nothing but positive feedback. So that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. And I would say for next year, it was such a great event that more people who showed up realized it was truly a tailgate party when we got there. There were people with barbecues and grills there, and just a mental note for next year, because the weather was really great. I'm thinking we had about 200 people there. That's a guess, but I think all in all, before I come to you, Deputy Mayor, just wanted to finish that particular conversation. It was very well received in the community. An alcohol-free event, family-oriented. It was so Mount Pearl.
For my item today, I just wanted to recognize, I know we certainly put a lovely post on our City of Mount Pearl Facebook, and in fact, we are lit up blue tonight. But the theme this year is, today is also World Down Syndrome Day. And the theme this year is with us, not for us, which I absolutely love. This emphasizes the importance of including people with Down syndrome in decision-making that impacts their well-being. And self-determination is such an important aspect when we think about those with different abilities. And so our city certainly is joining the Newfoundland and Labrador Down Syndrome Society by inviting citizens to wear today, if you already have, or you might have them on right now. I'm wearing my boots over mine, so to keep warm, but wearing your funky color socks. Oh, there you go. I love it. All right. As displayed by Councillor. Yeah. Oh, okay. As displayed by multiple councillors in the room today. And then symbolizes our extra chromosome in people with Down syndrome. And of course, tonight, City Hall will be lit up blue and yellow in celebration. I just wanted to, because I did a little digging. I love looking at the organizations that take the time to organize and ensure that these items are highlighted. They connect with the municipalities, they connect with the people to make sure that they're acknowledged. So just a little highlight on the Newfoundland and Labrador Down Syndrome Society. Their mission really is a volunteer group of parents, and it is strictly mostly parents running this with their families and friends, and are committed to raising awareness and understanding of Down syndrome and removing societal barriers that place limits on our children's ability to be valued and contributing members of community. And there's a few items that they really talk about and what that means. It is that every person, regardless of their developmental strength or disability, has the right to be accepted to work, to feel valued in the community. And these are priceless assets that should be readily available to our children. And I wanted just to have a quick shout out to one of their members, Sheila Bradbury, was interviewed on VOCM this morning with Karen McDonald. And she was a board member and a parent advocate, and she was an incredible representative for their society. And certainly offered a really important perspective of what it is living with Down syndrome, celebrating it, and what all truly today is about. So I just wanted to highlight that and thank our city and the organization for promoting that, and our council members for their lovely display of socks.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Over to you, Councillor Antle.
My one item, your worship, is regarding Mount Pearl soccer. And you might notice the Mount Pearl, last year we heard about it, but Mount Pearl Soccer Association is trying to start a senior male Sunday league. You want to find any more information, you can email the senior director at Mount Pearl MPSA.ca with any questions. The deadline for expressions is the end of this month, March 28th. The league looks like it's going to start April the 16th, and all the costs are there if anybody wants to take a look online. And that's for your information only. Thank you very much, your worship.
Thank you very much. And over to you, Councillor Rice.
Thank you. I got one or two items that go together, actually. So this one's the Easter Bunny Breakfast coming up on April the 8th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So the plans are underway for breakfast with the Easter Bunny. And from 9 to 11, details once finalized will be posted on the city's website and all other platforms of social media. And also the Easter egg hunt goes on the April 8th as well. And that is on, that's on all week, as you're saying, Councillor Rendell. Yeah. So the Easter egg hunt is being planned for throughout Powers Pond for Saturday, April the 8th. All details will be posted on the city's website as well and platforms of all social media for the city. Thank you. And that's it for me, your worship.
That was excellent. Over to you, Councillor Lane. And I think you also want to speak to the Down syndrome lady.
Yes, I was going to talk about it, but I think that Deputy Mayor Kyla did a great job of covering that. So I'll discuss something else, but I too am very happy to celebrate World Down Syndrome Day, because as a teacher, and I'm also doing a special education degree, I've had the pleasure of working with many students who have Down syndrome. And let me tell you, every time I've been able to work with them, it has just lighted up my day, because they're so incredibly talented and so incredibly happy and excited. And it's been a pleasure working with every person that I've met. So just one thing for me, the Spring Fitness Program registration. So the registration dates for the spring programs and general fitness and seniors independent fitness classes will commence on April 4th for residents and April 6th for non-residents. All programs are posted on the city's website. That'll be it for me.
Thank you very much. And we're going to close the roundtable. I think Councillor Locke wanted to jump in at the end, but to you, Councillor Fry, first.
It's funny because I also had World Down Syndrome Day here. I just wanted to give a shout out. I'm not going to repeat anything, but you know, we all have such special friends who have Down syndrome. So just a shout out to Michael and Bill and Felicia and all of our friends, because they just have so much love to give. I want to say a huge congratulations to our Mount Pearl Special Olympics floor hockey team. They won the gold medal at the 2023 Newfoundland Labrador Special Olympic Winter Games in Grand Falls, Windsor last weekend, and they are fabulous. I know we've played them and they're so good. Yes, I scored a goal. Yeah, my one and only goal. No, they are so good, and they're really excited about it because now they get to represent the province in Calgary. So best wishes to them in Calgary, and a huge congratulations on bringing home the gold medal to our beautiful city of Mount Pearl. And finally, for me, I was speaking with a resident and he provided me with these. I put these on your desks earlier. This is the Moose Hide campaign. And it's a grassroots movement of Indigenous and non-Indigenous men and boys who are standing up against violence towards women and children. And I thought it was appropriate seeing we just recently had International Women's Day. Wearing this moose hide signifies your commitment to honor, respect, and protect the women and children in your life, and to work together with other men and boys to end violence against women and children. So this is to be worn to start the conversation. So it's just to bring awareness here. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Locke for the finale.
Okay, just in, and I thank Director Antle for prompting me on this. Today is International Day of Forests. And the theme for this 2023 is forests and health. I didn't want to go without mentioning it because we have our urban forestry plan and enhancement of our tree canopy. We all know the health benefits. So I wanted to mention that for sure for tonight's meeting, that today is International Day of Forests. And thank you again to Director Antle for that info.
So we can, Director, see the forest for the trees here in the city of Mount Pearl. Well said. And I just want to say it's good to see everybody here for the month of March. Happy St. Patrick's Day week or weekend or whatever you did to enjoy yourself. It's good to see everybody back here at the table. And of course, we swore in a new member of our workforce here today, an important role in municipal enforcement. And it was good to see, Jeffrey here along with his family, and lots of good proclamations, lots of good conversation. The work of the city has ended for the past 2 weeks, and now a new 2-week cycle begins. So I'm going to call for a motion, please, to adjourn the meeting. And